top of the top, and it won't stop. You dig? You already know off top, baby. Man, before I even get started, I have to give love and send a rest in paradise to the mighty 45 King. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I could say thank you forever and infinitely, and I think I'll always be saying thank you to this man for his contributions within production, hip-hop production in general, but just production across the board. I mean, he worked with the best of them. Lisa Stansfield, Queen Latifah, of course. I mean, too many, Eminem, all of your favorites, man. Common. The list goes on, man. The mighty 45 King. Listen, the first time I heard the 900 number, I hated that record. The Red Alert Show. That's the first time I heard it because I forgot how I heard it. I want to say around about 88 in middle school. And, Red had it on one of the tapes. And somebody I knew passed me one of the tapes. Because, obviously in LA, we couldn't get the Red Alert Show. Shout out to the legendary Red Alert, cool DJ Red Alert. But we knew somebody that had access to the tapes. So when I heard this weird ass horn, I'm like, which I later, many years later, discovered that it was Unwind Yourself by Marvin Whitney. I was like, wow, okay, So anyhow, fast forward, that record was so far ahead of his time, I didn't realize that record was done in '86. That's how far ahead of his time that he was in terms of the samples, the drum programming, and all my beat heads know what I'm talking about. Like my OG cats know what I'm talking about in terms of what he did with those drums and how he deconstructed that song. But anyhow, fast forward, in terms of him utilizing 45s in his sets, he was the first dude on a grand scale to rock 45s in production as well. That was one of the reasons why he would flaunt the 45s. But anybody on some of his album covers, such as Masters of the Game, what was the other one? 45 Kingdom. I think it was a couple of others, but those were the two that stood out. Master of the Game was the first 45 King album that I ever picked up. And I was enthralled because he was giving up a lot of game in terms of the breaks, or the break beats that were being used on a lot of those compilations. He was really paying homage to the old school era, the beginning of hip hop in terms of the breaks that they were cutting up, but he would take and flip those. And I think that went over a lot of people's heads that weren't from that era or that didn't study the science behind break beats. The old heads, the original, the OGs knew what he was doing, but anyhow, fast forward, rest in paradise 45 King. I have a quick story. I remember I was emceeing at this party called the Root Down. Shout out to Miles and the whole crew. Salute. And basically, it was on a random, so I heard the 45 King was in town. He had been in LA a lot of times, but I would always miss him. But this time I was determined to go and check out the King himself. That was one of the most fondest memories I had of the 45 King, in addition to the classic sets. Y'all seen them on YouTube and in person. But anyhow, with that being said, I also want to add, okay, so there's a set where he's playing a lot of basically 45s in his kitchen, if I'm not mistaken, and he's flinging them. He actually did that on stage. He was flinging them onto the stage. I'm like, dude, these are damn near like $400, $500 $45s, that $1,000 45s that you're flinging on the stage. So I was on them. I was on them, man, because I was wanting to make sure they didn't break, but I also want to make sure nobody grabbed one. So I was on them like a hawk that night. You know what I'm saying? I was the big homie for the big homie that night. Shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, ain't nobody go steal from the 45 King in front of me. You know, and I don't do nothing about it. Nah, it ain't going down like that in my city. You know, so, but he looked at me and laughed. I was like, dude, what are you doing? You throwing? But that was a part of his act. You know, he would play one and then fling it out to the audience. Play another one, not in the audience, but onto the stage. Because like the platform is up, and he would just fling them out. You know, and yeah, man, he's going to be missed. I just wanted to send condolences and love to his family, friends, and his peers, and what have you. And if anything, you know, take some time out and dissect and listen to his classic productions. He was so far ahead of his time in terms of the drum programming, the mixing, the mastering, I mean, just everything, you know. And he was definitely like the dude. When you're talking about the greats, he was our Charlie Mingus, our Charlie you know, our Charlie Parker, our Monk, you know, of our time. You know, he was our Cannonball Adderley. You know, I could go on, you know. Rest in love, the mighty 45 King.